Asterisk, asterisk. When the system says guilty, love says fight, asterisk, asterisk. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we unlearn survival and reclaim the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And today we're diving into something that will shake you to your core. I recently had the profound honor of sitting down with Traibiyah Brown, a mother who is rewriting the rules of what it means to fight for justice in a system designed to break you. Traibiyah is standing in the gap for her son, a good young Black man with a medical condition who is being railroaded toward a prison sentence despite mountains of evidence proving his innocence. She is making the world a better place by refusing to be silenced, by showing every Black parent out there that love, armed with relentless truth, is the most powerful weapon we have against injustice. Her impact is generational. Her fight is our fight. And the insights she shared with me are too urgent, too necessary, too revolutionary to keep quiet. Let me ask you something. When did we start believing that the system's verdict is the final word? When did we accept that fighting back is futile? When did we decide that our children are good children, the ones we raised with love and intention and prayer? When did we decide they weren't worth the battle? Traibiyah looked that lie dead in the face and said, no. She said, I know my son. I raised him. I have the facts. I have the medical records. I have the truth. And I'm going to keep providing it, keep documenting it, keep shouting it until those gates swing open and my son walks free. That's not just motherhood, that's revolution wrapped in calm resolve. That's softness as strategy and steel as commitment. That's what we talk about here on Soft Girl Era. Um, this radical idea that you don't have to scream to be heard, but you absolutely refuse to be ignored. There's a toxic myth floating around that says when the courts decide, when the system speaks, you should accept it. Bow your head, stop fighting. That resistance is pointless. When bias has already written the verdict in permanent ink, Traibiyah shattered that myth. She showed us that when you know you raised a good person, you keep fighting. You don't give up, no matter how many times they scream guilty just because you're Black. And here's what breaks my heart and fires me up at the same time. The system banks on you being too tired, too overwhelmed, too defeated, too broke, too isolated. They're counting on you to fold. They're betting on your exhaustion. They're waiting for you to walk away so they can close the file and move on to the next Black body they can cage. But what if we didn't give them that satisfaction? What if we took Traibiyah's blueprint and made it a movement? She gave us three strategies that every Black parent, every professional, every entrepreneur staring down bias in courtrooms or boardrooms or anywhere else needs to tattoo on their soul. First, document relentlessly every single fact, every medical record, every witness statement, every email, every phone call, every moment of bias. Build an ironclad paper trail because silence protects the system. Chica. But evidence exposes it. Write it down, record it, save it, screenshot it, back it up, make them answer to the truth. The system doesn't want you organized, they want you scattered, they want you so emotionally drained that you can't keep track. Don't give them that power. Your documentation is your ammunition. Second, build your circle. You cannot do this alone. Link arms with other Black parents who understand the weight you're carrying. Find advocates who see your humanity. Connect with community organizers who know how to navigate the system. Lean on legal allies who will fight beside you. Call on faith leaders who will hold you up when you can't stand. Community turns isolation into an unstoppable force. You are not the first person to walk this road, and you won't be the last. There are others who have fought this fight, who are fighting it right now, who will fight it after you. Find them, hold them close. Let them hold you. Let them remind you that you're not crazy, you're not alone, and you're not wrong. Third, embrace calm, Grit. This is where the soft girl era comes alive. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders with clenched fists and a hardened heart. You can be soft in your strategy, intentional in your rest, protective of your peace, and still be absolutely unyielding in your commitment. Softness is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that you're in this for the long haul and you need to protect your spirit while you fight for justice. You need to tend to your wounds while you're still in the battle. You need to create space for joy, even in the middle of the storm. Because if you burn out, if you break, the system wins. And we're not letting them win. Now, let me ground this in real stories, real women, real fights, real wins. There's a Black nurse in the UK named Beatrice. She worked in a care home and she did what good nurses do. She advocated for a vulnerable patient who was being neglected by white colleagues. And you know what happened? They came for her. False accusations of gross misconduct, a skewed investigation dripping with racial bias. Black witnesses ignored. She was pressured to resign. They wanted her gone. But Beatrice didn't fold. She raised the issue of racial bias at every single hearing. Her union representative demanded that Black staff be interviewed. She exposed video evidence of a white nurse sleeping on the job, a white nurse who faced zero discipline. And when the tribunal finally ruled, they said the process was unfair. They awarded her £23,000 for race discrimination. She kept her job, she kept her dignity, and she shone a spotlight on institutional bias that had been operating in the shadows for years. Beatrice's fight is Traibiyah's fight. Black excellence punished despite the facts, but vindicated through the evidence and relentless advocacy. Then there are the Black entrepreneurs in Canada, innovators who had validated ideas, who had done the work, who had the vision, but the system labeled them too risky simply because they were Black. Capital shortages, underfunding, doors slammed in their faces over and over again. But they didn't quit. They joined Black innovation accelerators. They secured mentorship. They found equity partners. They accessed federal loans. They built university partnerships and corporate alliances. They refined their business models. They landed venture capital. They scaled globally. They hired diverse teams. They launched youth programs. And by 2034, Black business ownership is projected to rise by 3.2% because of the groundwork they laid. They turned bias into fuel. They turned barriers into breakthroughs. Their persistence against the guilty by Blackness narrative parallels Traibiyah's fight. Allies and strategy overturn bias, whether you're fighting for freedom or fighting for wealth. And then there's Renee, a documentary filmmaker who spent years chronicling the lives of Black women entrepreneurs. She saw the mental toll. She saw the hustle only narrative erasing joy, erasing healing, erasing the fullness of who these women were. So she pivoted. She centered authenticity in her film. She showcased their interior lives, their fears, their self care practices. She built partnerships. She built community support. The outcome? A wider audience for sustainable brands, emotional and financial wins, a direct challenge to the damaging myth that Black women have to grind themselves into the ground to be successful. Renee's work matches Traibiyah's fight because it's about reclaiming humanity against bias. It's about letting community sustain the battle. It's about saying, I will not let you reduce me to your stereotype. These three women, Beatrice, the Canadian founders, Renee, they all did what Traibiyah is doing right now. They documented, they built their circles, they embraced calm grit, and they won. Now imagine that, just imagine if more Black parents adopted Traibiyah's perspective. Picture courts flooded with fact based appeals. Picture unions probing bias the way Beatrice's did. Picture families building accelerators for legal fights the way those Canadian entrepreneurs built accelerators for business. We'd see exoneration spike. We'd see prison gates swing open wider. We'd see generational trust rebuilt. Not guilty by default, but justice by evidence. Communities would heal, trauma would decrease, Black excellence would thrive, unrailroaded, unbroken, unstoppable. This is the world Traibiyah is fighting for. Not just for her son, but for every son, every daughter, every Black child who deserves to be seen as innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. But here's the question I need you to sit with. What are you willing to fight for? What truth are you willing to document? What circle are you willing to build? What gates are you willing to storm until they open? Because this isn't just about criminal justice. This is about every system that tries to tell you who you are instead of asking. Every workplace that overlooks your brilliance, every institution that underestimates your power, every relationship that demands you shrink, every voice that says you're too much or not enough. Tribia is proof that one mother armed with truth can challenge an entire system. Beatrice is proof that one nurse armed with evidence can expose institutional rot. Those Canadian founders are proof that one community armed with strategy can shift economic narratives. Renee is proof that one filmmaker armed with authenticity can rewrite cultural scripts. You are proof waiting to happen. So here's what I need you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Right now. Text 3 people. Tell them I'm fighting like Traibiyah. Witness my truth. Start your paper trail. Identify one system, one situation, one injustice that you've been tolerating because you thought fighting back was futile. Document it. Find your people. Build your circle and refuse to quit until your gates open. Whether those gates are literal prison gates or the gates keeping you from peace, from rest, from the life you deserve, from the promotion they keep dangling, from the respect you've earned, from the freedom you've been promised, don't quit. Trabia's calm resolve, her unshakable commitment, her refusal to let the system write the final chapter. That's what the soft girl era is about. It's about releasing the cape of having to be strong all the time and redefining strength as the courage to keep going, even when the world says stop. It's about embracing softness, not as surrender, but as sacred resistance. It's about healing in real time, tending to the wounds while you fight the fight. It's about protecting your peace as a practice, creating space for joy and rest, and boundaries even in the middle of the battle. And it's about turning survival into something sacred, something that lifts others, something that changes the narrative for the next generation. To every Black parent listening, to every professional, every entrepreneur, every woman who's been told to sit down and be quiet, hear this: you are raising warriors. The system bends to relentless truth. Your fight matters. Your voice matters. Your refusal to give up matters. The world is waiting for you to step into your power. Not the power that exhausts you, not the power that requires you to be hard all the time, but the power that comes from knowing who you are, what you're fighting for, and who's fighting beside you. Softness and strategy, grit and soul. That's the revolution. That's how we win. Step into yours.